So what is on the agenda for today? First off, happy to have you all here. I'm sure we'll have a few more people joining here during our call. Really appreciate you guys, taking time this morning to be here with us and get your day going. So, Bryce, if you want to go to the next slide, we'll cover what is happening today. So first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over wins, and then we're going to go into how companies utilize their purple cow, and we'll go into detail about what purple cow means. Then we're going to teach an applicable skill, which is how to actually use your one sheet and your comparison chart. We've got to establish the purple cow first so that we can create those two things. And then after that, we're going to give you a tangible action that we want you to move forward with for the next coaching meeting that you have with your designated coach. And then we're going to open up the floor to you guys so that we can have any questions, whether it's about, what we covered, or if it's about anything in particular that's going on with your business, if it's about Bryce's mustache, any questions we would love to answer. But before we really get into the nitty gritty here, I want to go over some wins of the week. It's Thursday. Would love to know if anybody here has any wins that they want to share. I know one win that I got off with off the phone with a client yesterday who's only been with us, it's his first month, and we were going over pricing. And so he does remodeling. He's with Ivy Construction. They're based out of Stillwater. And he lands a lot of jobs, has a lot of leads, but he's just having an issue with his profit margin. He's just not making what he should be. And so we dove into his pricing. And then that day he went out and he quoted a bathroom job with our new pricing model. And it was $4,000 more than what it would have been with his old pricing. And he won the job. And so that was immediate success for him. He feels so confident in his new pricing, and that's going to immediately increase his bottom line and allow him to invest that money back into the business. So that's one win. I see that we've got a few more people who've jumped on the call here. Pete, Roger, Angel, anybody here, Brent, have a win that they want to share? Brent, I see the hand going up. Unmute and tell us the good news, sir.
Yeah, sure. I would say a really good win that we're having right now is through the hiring program that I've learned through Redmond Growth with just creating a really good Indeed ad that potential new employees really think is unique and stands out. And through the process of job shadowing, I job shadowed 4 guys in the last 2 weeks, and 3 of them have great potential. They're new. We were hiring for lead guys, but I'm also interested in training up the right guys. And I job shadowed 3 guys in the last about week and a half, and I'm struggling to decide. I only have room to hire 1 inexperienced guy. So I'm struggling to figure out which one am I going to hire. So on the contrary of everybody else saying, oh, there's no good help out there, it's hard to find good help, I'm experiencing just the opposite. I can't decide which one I'm going to hire because of an abundance of good guys requesting. So that's a win for me, I feel.
That is awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? Any other wins? Christian, do you got a win for us, sir?
Well, we have been out of the office. My guys have been on site a lot this week, taking care of some very cool installations. And our scheduler, Michelle, she's doing a phenomenal job when it comes to where we have to go, when we have to be there, and scheduling all that makes sense, right? So you don't want to go, 45 minutes in one direction just to know that you have an install in that same part of town, but you're client is asking for it to be maybe 1 day apart. So she's been working with our clients trying to streamline and tighten up the geography of our off-site work. And today they're on 3 different installs today, and they're going to do all of them in 1 day. And
that is awesome. That's so good for your cash flow to be able to do that. It really allows your team to be able to be more efficient. But
yeah,
I feel like the biggest win with this, Christian, is that it sounds like you're not having to do the scheduling, that there's
you're
somebody else
exactly right.
who is able to do that. And that is huge for most business owners. When they first start out, they're having to, be the technician, be the dispatcher. But it sounds like you're really creating a team so that you could go on vacation and things are still going to run.
Well, vacation might come 1 day, but let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yes. Well, keep us posted. The day might be closer than you think. And
Let's hope
so
so. Yes,
that's
thank you.
awesome. Any other wins here? I see we've had a few more people join the call.
I have a win.
Yes.
It's a small win, but it's important for me. So my win today is that I finally made it to the meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
So I've been trying this for over a month, but I've been working with Harley trying to get me out of the field and have the guys working by themselves. So it seems like we're finally heading that way. They don't need as much supervision
Let's go.
to now sit down and do what I have to do.
I would argue that that's not a small win. That's a big win. Big win. We're so happy to have you here and to hear about the changes that you're making in the business and the more control that you're getting over your schedule. And there's just better days ahead. And so we're so glad to have you. Well, Bryce, I'm going to let you take it over here, sir, and really, tell us the good news. What are we learning today?
I am ready. Yeah, that last win is huge. I mean, that's ultimately, right, the reason why a lot of us are here is to get to a place where the business can run on its own. So I love that last win that we got here. Yeah, guys. So today, for the mindset part of it and really kind of shifting how we think about things, going to be kind of brief, maybe briefer than the other ones we've covered in the past, because we covered the purple cow a couple of weeks ago. And so there's some new people on the call. There's some older folks on the call. And so I want to take a second. And those of you that were in the call for that last call, who knows what a purple cow is? When we say purple cow, what does that mean? What are we talking about? Pete, Christian, Brent, Harley, obviously.
It's something that immediately separates you from your competition.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very much so. Anybody else?
Well, it looks like we've got a comment from who I guess is either Jonathan Rude or Robert Redman, said that it's a cow that's purple.
Right. Okay. All right. So I guess we got to do some explaining here, but that's okay. We're prepared for that. So purple cow, it comes from and Christian, you're exactly right. It's something that separates you immediately from your competition. It comes from this book called The Purple Cow by a guy named Seth Godin, who's kind of a marketing guru. And even right off, you can see this book is the way that it's set up sideways. It bothers me. It's not a mistake. That's how the book was printed with the cover sideways. But even in that small detail, you can see what's happening here because it literally physically makes you turn your head to look at it closer, which I think is really interesting in and of itself. But essentially the backstory, real brief, is that a purple cow, Seth Godin was on a road trip with his kids. They were living in upstate or in New York, and they took a road trip out to upstate, saw a bunch of cows. Well, it was the first time that his kids had seen cows. So they saw a bunch of these cows. Maybe 30 minutes later, they weren't really impressed with them anymore. But Seth started to think, being the marketing guy that he is, what if one of those cows out in the field was purple? If that happened, we would go crazy over this cow. We would want to stop. We would take pictures. Heck, this may even be the end of our road trip. We're not going any farther because this is a sight to be seen. And that idea he took from that small road trip and put it into the business setting and said, what if that was true of a business? When we stand out, people are going to come to us because of that. And so essentially what a Purple Cow is meant to do is answer this basic question. If I got 3 quotes at the same price, so price is out of the option or out of the picture here, why would I choose yours over the other 2? And I want to actually ask that question to the guys that are on here on this call, guys and gals. For you, when someone asks you that question, when I ask you that question, if I got a quote from you and 2 other people at the same price, why would I choose to work with you? Roger, I feel like you probably have a good insight on this, but anybody as well that may be bold to offer some insight here. Why would I choose your quote versus someone else? Go for it, Christian.
If a client looks at our Google reviews, we don't have hundreds of them yet, but we have more Google reviews just by count than any of our other competitors, not to mention the litany of 5 stars. And the comments that people make, if you read these reviews, yes, they're 5 stars, but the comments behind them are all very flattering, and they just speak volumes to other clients who are considering hiring us for these specialty wood type products that we build and install. And they name names. My name comes up variously, and Scott, who is our lead fabricator, some of the other guys, and even Michelle is getting recognized here and there. So that puts names to experiences, so that if people call, they either get me or Michelle, and they might be able to connect. Oh, this is who that other client was raving about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's one thing.
Credibility, where a lot of times when you're dealing, especially I feel like in the construction, in the service industry realm, a lot of times people don't have any online presence, or they don't have any reviews, or if they do have reviews, they're negative. And so just by simply having that, that builds a lot of value, and a lot of, you can feel confident in your investment with us, because look at all these other people who have invested and trusted us, and what they've been able to say about the quality of our work.
Right. And we have posted logos from big time name companies, outfits, people, corporations on our website that tell people we've worked with the superstars of the world: Chick-fil-A, Coca-Cola, Atlanta Braves, the Yankees. I mean, those are all people we've done business for.
Yeah, don't take our word for it, but look at these other companies that have used us. That's phenomenal. Love that. Anybody else? Yes.
I have something. Hello, my name's John. About the reviews, I never thought it worked ever, so we never did it. My son got on and made a review, and it was just a fake review, but he put his name as Just Judy on the review, the Google review for our app. Well, we had a customer call in and saw the review, and it had 5 stars on it, and chose us to do the job just because of that one review.
Wow.
And it was a fairly hefty job. So just over that one review, I was like, wow, okay, this is something we need to start doing more often and getting those reviews. I just wanted to add that in there.
Yeah.
And on a win, I didn't tell you, I didn't speak up, but on the win, Robert had helped us on the Indeed as well. We've been looking for sales guys, and we found 2 sales guys, and we couldn't choose, so we hired both of them just from the Indeed app that Robert helped us do. The Indeed. So we like I said, we're in the process of hiring both our sales guys. So that was, and we wouldn't have been able to do that without a Redmond Group, honestly, because we would have never thought of it. So
that's great, John. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, we got to hear about that as well in our team meeting. It was a learning moment as well. And some of the stuff that Robert talked about, the, wanting both, but only needing one, how to navigate that. I mean, it was huge. So really pumped for you guys in that. Is awesome.
Yeah, and he helped me write up the letter yesterday. We wrote up the letter for him in the ramp up period. So we're really excited. I think there's going to be some huge potential for growth for us.
Huge. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, John. Yeah. So back into the Purple Cow stuff here, the reviews, that was our main focus for last week. And I'm glad that you guys are seeing that. That credibility is hugely important for the sales process. A Purple Cow includes that, but it also is just, how are we simply different from the other people that are out there doing the same things that we are? If price is taken out of the question, why would they choose us? Your credibility. You've worked with these kind of people. Other people are saying these things about your company, capturing word of mouth and utilizing that to your benefit is huge. But it could even be simple things. Unfortunately, Ryan Witten is one of the guys that I work with. I was hoping he'd be in on the call. I don't see him this morning, but he does a thing where, and we've marketed this even as well, as a plumber, he makes sure that his guys spray this lemon scented spray at the end of the job. Every time before they leave, they do a little cleaning, clean up their mess, and then they spray some lemon scents. And so they're the guys that leave lemons behind, not tracks, like boot tracks. And so even something simple like that, as well as just, what you can credibly do, work you've done for other people, tangible, physical things. But there's a quote that I want to share with you guys. It's the fear of being different prevents most people from seeking new ways to solve their problems. And this is from Robert Kiyosaki, who's the guy that wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which is a great book if you haven't read that. Very, very insightful. But something that I've run into in working with people before is this idea that when somebody else hasn't done something like that before, I don't necessarily want to be the first one. That exposure is a little bit uncomfortable. And I want to challenge you guys, this kind of mindset shift here. Knowing what uniquely sets you apart is vital. It is irreplaceable. You can't take this out of the equation to know why someone should choose you versus somebody else. So thinking about when you're actually in a selling opportunity, when you're out on the field, you could very easily get that question that I put up a minute ago. I got 3 quotes. Why would I choose you versus the same? They're pretty much the exact same. Why would I choose to go with you? And guys, there's a right way to put yourself in the shoes of a customer, in the mindset of a customer. The wrong way is whenever you become the buyer more than the seller. And what I mean by that is if all you're thinking about is price tag. If when you're talking to a customer about, hey, here's the price for the job, this is what we're going to do. If all you're thinking about is, gosh, I hope they accept the price tag at the end, or how can I soften the blow of this number coming at them that I'm about to get to, that's the wrong mindset. You're in the mindset of being a buyer rather than a seller. Knowing what your unique value is, what you bring to the table, gets the conversation outside of just merely price and the thing that's there. You're adding value. And so talking about what deals you can give, talking about just the price, that's not really selling. That's talking to somebody about the price of a thing. But knowing what you bring to the table is not off-putting. The value that you provide, the thing that sets you apart, why working with you is way better than working with someone else. A huge thing that we talk about a lot is that when you talk about your specific additions, what benefits, what tangible benefits and offers you bring to the table, you take the conversation from the space of price into value. And people, we're not talking about pricing very much today. That's not the focus. But when you make the conversation about value, the price really doesn't come into play so much. It really doesn't. Because people are willing to pay premium for premium services if they don't have to deal with the headache. You guys, every single one of you, even though you're a business owner, you're a consumer also. So there is a right way to put yourself in the mindset of the consumer and the customer. And it's not by looking merely at the price tag, but at how much of a headache you're going to lose, or sorry, how much of a headache you're going to avoid if you're working with the right company. You know who you are. You know what the other guys out there in your industry that are competing for these same jobs, what kind of horror stories you've seen from other customers, what jobs you've had to go back and redo that somebody else did. So I want to kind of think about this in one more area, and then I'll hand it off to Harley to really talk more about utilizing the one sheet and having your team even utilize the one sheet as well. But we talked about hiring, and this is perfect. Consider, you're interviewing someone for an important role. If they just give you a bunch of puffery, man, my greatest weakness is that I care too much and that I work too hard. We all know that that's absolute BS. That means nothing to us. When you're interviewing someone for an important role, like a supervisor or a manager or a project lead, you want some clear, tangible reasons to hire them. The same is true of people asking or looking for you to do work for them. They want clear, tangible reasons, something that has substance behind what you say. We're going to show up on time, or you get $100. When we say we will start, that's when we're going to start, because nobody else starts on time. Or you're going to be satisfied with the project. We're going to have a final walkthrough with you before you're done, or otherwise you're going to get a 10% discount, or you get your money back. It could be all sorts of stuff, but it has to have substance behind it, clear teeth to it too. But knowing your unique value, whatever that is, if you haven't set that up yet, talk about that with your coach and think about what makes sense for you and what really works well with what you're probably already doing. And looking at the reviews, like we talked about earlier, is a great way to think about that. We want to take the reputation that's already out there and just bring that to the forefront. So knowing your value is not off-putting. It's not arrogance or prideful, but it's confidence. You want to hire somebody if you're interviewing them, and the customers that you're working with want to hire somebody because of what they can prove, that they're real, legitimate.
Hey, Bryce.
Yeah.
Would you mind putting up the UVP definition? I'm not sure I know what UVP is. I'm sure it's value something.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't have it typed out, but it's unique value proposition.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Great question.
How many
Okay.
people here are in like a service industry? Your sales process is pretty quick. You're a plumber, electrician, HVAC guy. You get a call, you go out that same day, you take care of it most of the time. Who all here is in that industry? Okay, quite a few of us. I want to emphasize that your unique value proposition is important to even you guys with a shorter sales process. We tend to emphasize it more with our remodelers, our roofers, restoration companies, these people who have a longer sales process. The customer might be likely to get a couple of quotes. Your unique value proposition is so important even for your service guys, because they could be getting quotes from other people, and you want to have that fast sales process. And one thing that Bryce emphasized is without value, the only thing that people are worried about is price. And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It's probably things that you already do. You're just not emphasizing with your customer, making them aware of it. We use these type of materials. They're only the top tier, and they all have a warranty of themselves. They also have a 1-year labor warranty, meaning that if we mess up in any way, we're going to come back out on us and take care of it. We have a cleanup guarantee, these things that are probably already something that you do. It's just the customer doesn't know. And so just taking that little time before you go over price to just emphasize the value, if that's the last thing that's in their head before you go over price, the chances of them being comfortable with your price is so much higher.
Yeah, and we'll be going over at least a couple tools here in the next half hour about how you tangibly present this to customers. But I do want to satisfy, Christian asked for this definition for unique value proposition. Google tells us it's a statement that clearly expresses your product or service's distinct selling points to potential customers. It's just a clear statement or clear reasons. And, you know, when I read that, it reminded me, Roger, you're on the call here. Remind us, don't you have your technicians tell people whenever they come in a unique statement about themselves, right? Hold for applause.
Yeah, we do. So the way, there's different ways that we talk about it, but basically at the end of the day, we're consumers just like the people that we're presenting our product or our service to. And we all have those hidden anxieties, those hidden questions that we want answered before we decide to move forward with whatever that is, whether it's buying tires, furniture, or a car. And you want to know that they chose the right company and that you're the right person to perform that service for them. So for us, we want to answer the questions and affirm the decision that they chose the right company. And then secondly, that the person that's physically there, they're the right person to perform that work. So therefore, it's important, very important, that what we call credibility statements. And it's about not just benefits, but it's about features. So
what's
what the benefit of that is.
What's a realistic example of a credibility statement?
Yeah, so thank you so much for giving us a call out. We know you have a decision out there, more than just being in business for 28 years. We ultimately wanted to give you more than what's expected. And part of that process is we want to make sure we do a proper diagnosis before we perform any work. And then we also want to be able to give you a cost in writing so that ultimately you can make the best decision based on your wants, your needs, and ultimately your budget. And then how we arrive at our pricing, and then it just goes from there.
Yeah. Wow. That is an efficient statement right there, where you knocked out a ton of stuff. You said experience you talked about, and then you also gave a couple other clear reasons about, like, hey, we show up and do this. We give you the pricing real clearly, all in like 30-second spiel, right?
Yeah, it's quick. Put a stopwatch on it. It's typically not more than 30 seconds.
And you probably, I guess you probably, in training the guys, because you do sales training, you probably do actually do a stopwatch with it, huh?
I do, just so they can prove for themselves, because it's all about getting out of their comfort zone a little bit. And what 30 seconds in reality feels like 3 minutes. And they're breaking into a sweat underneath their shirt and all this kind of stuff until they get comfortable doing it, and it becomes second nature. And ultimately, we don't want them to be robots. We want it to be conversational. So they need to put it all in their same words. I mean, I can give you credibility statement again, and it's not going to be the exact same way. It's not going to be the exact same wording.
Yeah.
But that's why it's important for us for them to get a baseline in writing, know it, own it, learn it. And then so that way, when they're in there with a client, it's just very conversational, and it just works into everything. And then all of a sudden, I mean, it physically happens. Clients, all of a sudden, their shoulder, they'll just drop. Like, okay, I made the right decision. I got the right company. This guy's going to be able to do what I need to get done. And then we really train hard throughout the process of always trying to build value throughout the process, whatever that may be.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for chiming in, Roger. I'll send over that $25 gift card real soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's talking about these credibility statements, and what I want to give is some notes about how this can essentially be a script that people use when going out to places, because even if you guys think that you do a good job selling, and you know that if you go to a job, you do it well. Well, there's always value in improving just a little bit in how you do things, because that little bit can translate into you charging at least 50, if not $100 more for the normal service call, because you were able to do a better job presenting your sales process. And one of these key ways that we use this is with a one sheet. And I know that Roger definitely knows about this. There's a couple other guys like Brent, I think I've shown this to, but I think a lot of you might be unfamiliar with this. So What it is, this is an example, pink dumpster. This is one of Jonathan Root's clients. This is an example of a comparison chart that we work out with our clients, where it's the difference between them on the left side, highest rated dumpster, communication, different things like that. And then the typical dumpster rental company. And then all sorts of value proofing, testimonials, where to find reviews, a no-brainer offer at the bottom for their first time. And what this is used is basically a one-sheet tool to talk with a customer to communicate how you're valuable. And then on the back side, you can also use this as an example for another one of my guys, American Chimney Gutter and Roofing, where they actually can provide their own packages and the differences between those packages on this document. And if it's printed on a really nice, like you can't do this on your printer at home, you got to go to a print store, get it on a nice cardstock glossy paper that, you know, makes a noise whenever you move it. Using this document makes it really easy and helpful to give yourself a script in how to sell yourself and your value. Yeah, why did this document really matter? Because, you know, it's just one document, right? Well, you really know why you stand out from the competition. And for so many of us, whenever we get asked that for the first time, in our experience, it's like, we're honest with our work, or we have a good integrity, have good customer service. And those are not bad reasons. But if we have it written down and it's clear comparisons, now we're really confident in knowing what makes us stand out. And since it's written out, we can educate the customer We can educate the customer more productively and easily. And I've heard it a couple times. I had a remodeler I worked with in Denver where he used this very consistently. And it was a wow factor for him, because let me tell you, I don't know if you guys know some of your other competitors in the area, but nobody has a document that looks like this. And whenever you break it out and use it, customers are really saying, wow, that stands out just in itself, that you have a presentable document like this. And honestly, you're addressing some of their objections before they come up. So in some of those issues that they have with some of the competitors, you're addressing them ahead of time. And if you have a conversation where you're asking, hey, have, you know, some of the other typical guys there, we've just heard they've been pretty bad at communicating. Have you experienced this, Mr. and Mrs. Customer? And they're like, yeah, I tried to call a plumber a couple of years ago, and I had to, you know, wrestle them down to get on the phone. And so now you're having this dialogue where they trust you more. And as I explain to my business owners, for you getting in the home, it's a race from you. It's a race for you to become an expert and advisor to the customer, rather than just a technician or a sales guy coming in. Because once they see you as an advisor and an expert, they're going to trust whatever input you bring in, whatever kind of additional services you recommend, because you were able to break that barrier and gain their trust and educate them and make them laugh a couple times. And then you can sell yourself at a higher price is the whole point, and close more deals, you know? But now we've all been talking about selling at the jobs, which is great, but that's not the only thing you're selling, guys and gals. You're also selling your company for candidates to work for you. And you can do the same kind of thing with them, where you can create a comparison chart about why your company stands out versus some of the typical contractors or the typical kind of companies they'd work for. This is an example of a pool construction company I work with in Reno. Where their biggest thing was by far hiring people. And so we've got to go to extra lengths to make ourselves look more credible than others. And those extra lengths include working on a document like this, where you're actually writing out real clearly in a nice branding what makes you stand out. even to the point of one of these points is we're not jerks. That might sound funny as a reason for a comparison, but when I asked the business owner, hey, what's some of the reasons why some of your guys have stayed around for a while? And they commented that, they like working with us. We're not trying to berate them. We're not trying to yell their heads off when they do something wrong. They like us because we encourage them to be their best. And, that's why a lot of people leave their jobs. So as simple as that sounds, that's a reason why people leave jobs for other jobs. So we might as well communicate that and make sure that they understand that before coming in. And then furthermore, on the back side of the sheet, we emphasize having a clear pathway to promotion, where it's really good for people coming into a company to have a clear understanding of where they're starting at and what are the steps that they can improve to a higher pay and greater pride and confidence in their job within a certain time frame. And so this one sheet is not only used for selling to customers, but selling to candidates coming in for work. And just to take a time out, if any of you guys don't have something like this or anything like these that you're using regularly or you have created, text your coach, reach out in the chat and say, hey, I don't have this. I don't know how to use this. Because we need to schedule calls with you to make sure you get this going in your business, because you're wasting time by not using this consistently.
Is there anybody in the call now who currently has a one sheet, whether it's for hiring or for selling, that they use currently? All right, we've got Marissa. I know that she's with Super Rooter over in Palm Springs, California. They've got a one sheet that they're using. Anybody else have a one sheet that they're using? Roger does. All right.
Hey, nice.
Love that. And so for those of you that don't have one, get with your coach. If you're not meeting with them this week or next week, book a laser coaching call. It's something we can knock out pretty quickly. Would love to get that ball rolling with you. Does anybody here have a testimonial of how they've used their one sheet and how it's helped them? Even one of the coaches, a testimonial of one of your clients?
Well, is Marissa able to speak up? I know we poked on Roger a bit. Are you out at a job site maybe?
No, yes, I can. It has helped us a lot because they always ask for estimates. And then so when they ask for the estimates, we throw in that and we tell them, okay, so this is what we offer, and we give 1 year warranty for parts and labor, and we guarantee you if you have any issues, we won't charge you. And that's what they sell them out mostly of the time. So yeah, it really has helped us a lot. And also it's a reminder for them because they have it all the time and they like keep it in their house and they see it, so they like call us, and it's a really good benefit to have.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are kind of using it as a business card as well. Instead of this tiny little card that gets thrown away, it's this beautiful one sheet that has your guys' services, your benefits, and the customer is more likely to keep that around.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, we're so glad to hear it. We know that you guys are competing with competitive prices out there in California. And so anything that can get your guys' foot in the door and get you guys above your competitors. And so really appreciate you being here, Marissa, and sharing here today.
Oh, thank you.
One thing I want to say before you take off here, Harley, is one thing that we hear a lot, I hear a lot specifically too, with working with business owners, is this constant idea that no one can ever sell as good as me. I'm the best salesman. That's why I have to stay out in the field. When you do this, guys, you're putting your brain on paper and you're giving your team almost a script that says, hey, here's the 4 or 5 things that are really what separates us. And it makes it to where your guys even talk about not just the dollar signs, but they talk about what your company is all about. And so it's almost like a script if you think about it that way too. It's super, super helpful. If you believe that no one could ever, sell as well as you do, this is how you start to do that.
Yeah, precisely. We've got the written documentation, the scripting. But there's a lot of people that have the tool and they try and use it, and they have all the tools in the world to use it, but for whatever reason, it's not working. And probably the biggest part of that is just the presentation needs to be better of it, because you got to be excited and enthusiastic about your company. If this is just some side obligation that your technicians have, where they're just, at the end of during the call or during the job, they just hand the document over them to say, hey, check out some reasons about us. Here's some information about us. And then they just go about their work. They're not getting the best benefit out of this tool. They got to make a point to ask the customer, hey, appreciate you calling us, but do you happen to know what makes us stand out from some of the other guys in the area? And then they wait for an answer. You say, okay, well, we put together this nice document that just clearly explains some of the details between us and some of the other guys, and begin that 2-minute long dialogue with the customer. And if you're bland and don't do that, then you're probably not going to sell as well as you should. So you got to be excited and pumped about the company. Roger referenced, doing role playing. So don't go away from that. That's a big way to help make this happen for them. And then on top of that, you got to be empathetic with the customers or the employees' needs and wants. If you're just going about blabbing about what makes you great than the other guys, but you aren't really listening about what matters to the customer's needs, then it's just going to go one ear and out. What anybody cares about the most is what they think about. So if you're caring about their needs, showing interest in them before your own interests, then whatever you communicate's going to get a lot more clear. And then, you must educate it about why you're the best fit. Okay, that's been established. But the biggest point about all this we've been talking about, with Bryce talking about the purple cow, what makes you stand out, with me talking about the one sheets with customers and employees, is that if you don't have a process for selling and sharing your value, you won't close as many jobs, and you won't have as many quality candidates that you want to have. And so let's do some of this right now. We got a few minutes here. There's some things that we can do right now to get started on improving this in our business. If you already have a one sheet created, I know, to be honest, there's a lot of us business owners we've been working with for a bit where we made this, but it's gotten out of habit, or we never really made it a habit. So if you have a one sheet or something where you can sell your value, first of all, get open your calendar and schedule time to train your guys and gals to use this. Dedicate 15, 30 minutes, maybe part of your team meeting. Just go over this again and train them to use it. And then, find the time to contact a print shop to actually print off these. Because there's some of you where we've made this, but you haven't printed it. So take a moment right now and do that. But if you don't have a one sheet created, like I said before, I encourage you to text, reach out to your coach, or use the Calendly link and schedule a 20-minute time to get started making this. And then if you don't know what makes you stand out, brainstorm right now, just write out some reasons why a customer should work with you. Like Angel, I know you're one of my newer clients. What's a reason why a customer should work with you versus the other guys?
One of the things that made a customer choose us besides everyone else is because, of course, we offer warranty on the labor and parts. That's the number one thing. Then we do periodically follow-up calls, like every 6 months when we finish a project. We'll reach back to the client hey, this is Angel from Smart Solution. I just want to make sure that the work that we do, that we did, didn't come with any defects. If it's anything that is bothering you, something as simple as the caulking falling down of the bathtub, just call us. I just want to make sure that you are enjoying your 1-year warranty. And they just
So hold on, wait, you're saying that 6 months later, after you do a job, you're calling back a customer and saying, hey, just wanted to make sure to follow up. Everything's holding up well for you, right? That's like,
that usually leads me back to something else that they want to do. Like I want to do a water tank, I want to replace the boiler, etc., etc. I do those calls.
let me tell you, the wherewithal for a plumber to actually remember to call back customers and check up on a job is just so unheard of in the industry. So if you really hold by doing that consistently, Angel, I mean, the referrals are going to be flooding in. This is only a good thing that you could do. And if you educate the customers about that, I mean, that's great. So awesome input. Anybody else here can find a reason why they stand out? How about the Gabe crew over there? Is there a reason why you guys are great?
Yes, guys. Hello. I'm Gabe. My wife been doing most of the calls, most of the meetings. She's here. It's my turn to kind of pick the baton up and join the team. Yes, the one thing that stands out for us the most is two things that happens a lot here in my area. Is number one is the reviews. We crush the competitors' reviews. All my competitors combined, all the competitors combined together to add up even to Apple what we got. But we only got one to what, 200 and change? 217 or something. 220 something, 217.
Yeah, whatever, a couple hundred. Yeah, it's not a big deal.
And number two, communications. Communication with customer has been the number one thing. So as customers call, we make sure to get back to them the same day or within 24 hours. If there's any change, a slight change in the work that's being done, a slight change in scheduling, we're contacting customers. We use House Call Pro, so as we schedule customers, they get notifications. And they love it. They love the fact that we hit on our way, they get a notification. If the job gets relocated as far as schedule, they get a notification. If anything changes, they get a notification. So keeping the customer in the loop of the whole process has been like one of the greatest things that has kind of really stand out between us and everybody else. That's probably the 1-2 knockout punch from my area that, reason why we got so many reviews. So many callbacks, customers call us back to do more work. We show up because they're, the scheduling, and it's been great.
We love it. Love to hear it. Okay, so Harley, we've got about 10 minutes here if we want to wrap up and then open up the floor to you guys to ask any questions that you have about what we covered here today or about anything else that might be on your mind or a question that you have. We'd love to open up the floor so that we can get those questions answered or have another client even, give some feedback on it. Any questions? Going once.
I've got a question regarding follow-up calls.
Oh yeah, here we go.
I don't know how you guys do your follow-up calls, but in 6 months from now, we're focused on selling the next job, installing the next job. 6 months ago, I have virtually forgotten all the details of someone's order. As miserable or painful or sad as that may be, it's just the truth. So I don't know how to set reminders, or do I just sift through QuickBooks and painstakingly try to dig up a handful or all of them, or that seems real cumbersome and nerve wracking to me, but maybe
Yeah.
your way to solve that.
It's a valid
What
point.
industry are you in, Christian?
Ma'am,
What industry are you in?
we are in the specialty and reclaimed lumber business to begin with, but it's custom fabrication, design, and installation.
Okay, so you have a little bit of a longer sales process. You'd be kind of closer to like a remodeler type of sales process.
Well, what is a long sales process in your eyes?
Like the customer's probably going to be getting some other quotes from other contractors. You might have to follow up with them to like get that final yes or no.
Yeah,
Type of thing.
yeah, this is a very slow moving line of work that we're in. We're not in a factory punching out widgets for
Right.
0.03 cents profit. We take the time, meet with the clients, go through their Pinterest boards with them. They bring in samples of their floor, their handrails, blah, 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 to match colors with. We do sketches when needed. We get all the criteria. We send it to them in a formal estimate. They sign it via DocuSign. They give us a 50% deposit. Then we're off to the races.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pick the
So-
material and process the material and cut and sand and finish and glue and nail and
So
stain.
it's a little bit of a longer process. Whoever your coach is, I'm sure has introduced you to the lead tracker. They may or may not have covered the individual sales process tab inside of that lead tracker. That's one that our clients who are like remodelers, restoration companies, roofers, it's a way to keep track of your pipeline and not just the leads that are currently in your pipeline that haven't said yes or no yet, the ones that are still in your sales process, but it also can be a way to keep track of leads even after they've said yes, and you've done the work for them. And so I would work directly with your coach to come up with, maybe even some edits to that tab. It's a really simple way that you're going to be able to keep track of each one of your leads. Even after you've done the work for them. And so you could just pull that up and know when should I follow up with this person.
Any type of sales tracking software that I use currently is through our Wix website. And it has a dashboard loaded with all of this stuff that I go cross-eyed when I open.
Yeah, you're definitely not alone in that. A lot of clients come to us and they're like, we have a software, but it's just too intimidating. Like, I don't want to have to go fishing through that. And so sometimes going back to the basics and having just a simple spreadsheet of a way to track it is going to be the most effective way to actually utilize it.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have another question, and it's so I started my business as a service company. We only did electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. Now I'm kind of like expanding into a home remodeler. And as Christian was explaining, the sales process is long. It's long to land a job, it's long to get a deposit, and it takes a long time to put an estimate together. Now I'm finding myself in this situation where I receive a call, it's a big job, and let's say it's gonna take me about 4 hours to put this whole job together to get an estimate. Now, what I've been doing, and I don't know if it's right or if it's wrong, maybe I'm losing jobs because of this, I'm charging the client $160 consultation fee. That means it's me going to the job site, inspecting the property, seeing what's in their mind, what they wanna do, then sitting down, writing the estimate, and sending back back to them. I did have a few customers that they accepted the consultation fee and potentially it's gonna convert into jobs, but I did have a lot of rejection calls, like, oh no, we don't pay for people coming just to give us an estimate, because it's a lot of contractors that they just do that for free. So I'm like in that spot where, should I do this for free and spend 4 hours putting together all this work and see if I get the job of that $160 consultation fee? should be like a filter between me not wasting my time.
Can I chime in?
Oh, go ahead.
Do you give them any of that back when they place the order?
Yeah, so if they decide to go with my quote, that gets back to them.
The whole thing?
The 160, yeah.
Okay, well, we do the same type of thing. We charge $250 to make a visit to a site, a house, or whatever. And that's shocking to people, and I get it, but they will get 125 of that back when they place an order. And I mean, for us, it's weeded people out, you know, I mean, if they don't want to spend 125, they're not going to spend typically the type of money that it costs for us to do work in someone's house.
Right, because I just lost let's say I just lost a job with a few developers. I'm in Jersey City, and we had this conflict where I was charging this fee, and they say, "Oh no, we're not gonna pay that fee." And then they were like bragging, "Oh, we just closed this 5 million property, or we're aggressively investing." And I told them, "Look, if $160 is getting in the way, we may not be the right fit for you."
Yeah, I think that's a fair bet, Angel. What I'm going to ask is that you work with your coach. We do have a 10-step sales process for our modelers. So if we haven't brought you through that, I know that you're a newer client, so we may have not gotten to it yet, but that's going to really help you define your sales process and really have a clear, since you are kind of getting into a new industry, you know, you are kind of breaching out into remodeling, and it's going to require a bit of a different sales process than, you know, your normal service work. And so I would really recommend working with your coach, walking you through that sales process. It is pretty normal for remodelers to give free estimates. It is. However, if you're going to spend hours like doing a 3D rendering, or if you're going to spend hours drawing up something really in depth, it is normal to charge for something like that. And so I would just work directly with your coach to kind of define what it is that you're going to be doing, and have them walk you through that 10-step sales process.
And as a final point, as your coach, Angel, I would tell you that you can use this as a point of selling your value, as we just talked about. So if they're giving you issues about $160, you say, well, you know, we give this charge because there's a lot of people that want to work with us because we do such a great job. I mean, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, have you gone and read our reviews online? Like, no. It's like, oh, well, take a moment to look at reviews. We do a really good job with our clients. That's why we get a lot of people reaching out to us. And we're wanting to know that you're serious about working with us, because I'm going to dedicate a lot of time to this job to make sure it's the most accurate price possible in a crazy world where materials are changing all the time. And a lot of contractors are selling you prices quickly, but then they have to come back and say, hey, can I get $6,000 more? So you can use that as a point to be like, hey, and then furthermore, you're getting the money back, man. So like, I don't know what the huge deal is, because you're going to get this $160 credited into your job. So you speak to them with that kind of confidence and enthusiasm with it, then, you know, it should work well for you. Or the person probably has some issues that they haven't communicated to you, and that's why they can't work with you, you know?
All right, if anybody has any other questions that we weren't able to get to, please email your coach, book a laser coaching call. You have access to that document. So if your coach isn't available within the next day or two, book with one of the other coaches. We may not be as charming as your coach, but we probably can answer your question. And so do not hesitate to take advantage of those laser coaching calls. We want to get your questions answered as quickly as possible. And so don't hesitate to book those with us. But as of today, I think we're out of time. So Harley, if you want to do us the honors of closing us out here with a big old growth, if everybody will unmute for us.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time. Unmute the mics. We're going to say growth on the count of 3. Everyone together. Everyone saying growth on 3, 2, 1. Growth. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Okay.